Hey guys, welcome back to another Peaceful Challenge episode. Today we're gonna work towards a string farm. I'm not quite sure if we can finish it in one episode because there's a lot to do. And the plan is also really silly. I just love the idea of actually doing it. We're gonna make a cat-based string farm, but probably not the one you would expect. Right, more about that later. First, let's actually check out a bit more the progress of the bone meal system we have here. So it's been running another day, and we have around 12 stacks of bone blocks. Yeah, that's actually quite decent. We can use this for an upcoming project. So at first we could maybe use this for a tree farm, but actually we want to expand the honey farm as well. And instead of breeding the bees again, which wasn't that fun, I thought about generating bee nests again and yeah, use the bees that generate with it to expand the bee farm for later. That obviously requires making birch trees, bone milling the saplings, etc. So that's what I'm probably going to use it for, but it's probably going to be content for one of the upcoming episodes. All right, now let's work on that cat farm. So why do we even need a cat farm to yield string in the first place? Mostly for making dispensers, it seems like, because you need to craft one bow using 3 string to craft a dispenser. And at the moment, we don't have a lot of that stuff. So sometimes we find some cobwebs, or you can also find it slewed in chests, but we only have 33 string at the moment. We definitely need some kind of farm for that. Normal Minecraft foster mobs, we would definitely make a spider farm. Eventually, in this world, we also plan to make a strider farm to get string, but that would require a lot of effort, and it's definitely an end game goal. So cats seem like the next best alternative, but they don't spawn as frequently as the striders do. There are also various ways how we can utilize cats to gather string. 2 of the concepts require killing the cats, while 1 keeps them alive. But don't worry, we're gonna try all of them. The non-lethal way to get string using cats would be to use them as gift givers. Apparently, if you have them as a pet, and you sleep in a bed, they would bring you gifts in the morning. But I've never experimented around with that myself, and I've actually also never seen it. We're definitely gonna try that eventually, because you also get some other items from that, like Phantom Membrane, and that's actually the only way to get this item. So at some point, we're also gonna try that out. But I want to make a cat spawning based farm first. There's actually 2 ways. The first one would be to use villagers. There's certain requirements. I think having 4 or 5 villagers in an area, no other cats nearby, and a player nearby, that's actually important. And then a game tries to spawn a cat every, I think it was 1 minute. It's not very fast, but should definitely give a decent amount of string. But I actually have even another way in mind that might not even be as efficient as the villager-based one, but I just love the idea because it's so crazy. We could actually also use witch huts as a cat farm, because cats spawn in the witch hut bounding box. Not sure how many people knew this. I knew about it for years, but there was never really an opportunity to try that out, because in a normal way it's just so much easier to use a spider spawner, for example. And yeah, I think the Peaceful series is a perfect opportunity to actually do that. Use a witch hut as a cat spawner. So it's definitely something new. We already found a witch hut about 2,000 blocks in that direction on the first day. Then I was exploring that area and I came across one. So that's already taken care of. We know where to build it. But yeah, we need to prepare the area quite a bit. Building the actual cat farm will not require a lot of effort, but yeah, preparing will be a lot of effort, because cats would only spawn if the mob cap for animals is not filled. So you can see it here at the moment using carpet mod. 387 is the amount of animals right now. It fluctuates a little bit with the bees exiting and entering the hives back there. But yeah, in order to make the cats spawn, we need to be below the mob cap. That's actually at the moment the second number, 28, because we have 3 players online. Usually if we only have 1 player, it would be 10. So we need to make sure basically that there are no animals in the spawn chunks. That would include turtles as well. And also make sure that no new mobs can spawn in the spawn chunks. That would then require to remove all grass blocks. That's what all the other animals usually spawn on, like cows, pigs, on certain biomes, also llamas, for example. And then even remove dirt, not the dirt, the sand on the beaches to make sure the turtles can't spawn. So luckily on this seed, it's not a lot of effort because there's only a couple of islands, and we can, for example, convert the grass into path blocks, etc. Just shovel the sand away or flood it in order to prevent the mobs spawning there. Also, we have to kill all the animals, like the turtles. And then also the same in the area where we built the witch hut farm. There the area is obviously just a swamp biome and just a normal plains biome around, etc. and forests. There we also need to kill all the animals in complete render distance. So this would be a 500 by 500 area. And make sure no new mobs can spawn inside of that area. So also remove all the grass blocks, etc. What we're probably gonna try to do there is flood the area to do that. Let's check out spawn real quick in spectator mode. I got a copy of the seed here in single player. So this is the main island here in the middle where we get the iron farm on. I'm using Master's Mini Hut mod to indicate where the spawn chunks are. So the green wall here, I think, is the border of the entity processing chunks, and then we still got the other chunks here where the mobs still count towards the mob cap. There we also want to remove a couple of islands, so this big one here. And I think the edges, this island and the mushroom island over there actually. It's not much. I think we also picked a seed to reduce the work. By the way, we're not just doing this for the cat farm. Eventually, we would need to do that if you want to make any other passive mob farm. So this is something we knew from the start we'll have to do at some point.
I have a bucket.
Sand is so annoying. I was hoping don't have to do that, but yeah, it's for the turtles. I think the turtles also can only spawn at a certain height, so we don't need to worry about sand that is, I think, lower than ocean level.
Yeah, if everything is under the ocean, you shouldn't have to worry about it. But
Should we just
Just
flood
take it.
everything?
just take the top layer off. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
it's the easiest.
it would look nice. Also, yeah, we can flood the basement. Yeah, that should be safe.
That looks bad.
Looks bad. Are you talking about the spawn chunk thing?
No, if you flood, just let the water go into the basement here. Should at least make walls.
Ah, I really wish I had the aqua affinity.
You wanted to make walls around, yeah, but could there be spawning spaces?
Also wondering, traders could still spawn and the llamas counted them off. Yeah.
They despawn. They only spawn if there's a player. Oh yeah, flooding only works if you make sure there are no holes.
I just noticed that, I mean, we're removing the spawning spaces in the spawn chunks, but in the spawn chunks, if no player is close by, nothing can spawn anyways.
Yeah, but then you go here and all of a sudden, oops, mobs spawn.
Yeah, but they could also spawn like here and go here.
Yeah, so it also worries me. I should put fixed it, but kind of stupid. Might not be a huge problem if maybe one turtle wanders in.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt that the chunks right next to the chunks around the spawn chunks will be loaded often anyways.
Yeah. I think the edge of the mushroom island is also inside, right?
Yeah, looks like it.
Yeah, this tiny edge there. Not much.
Oh, yeah, that one. I think that's the last one.
That's the last one. Yep. Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
No.
Yeah. Ah, yes, the item swimming noises. Nice.
That's it. Alright, should we turn off the 2 farms and test it? If we actually have no animals anymore?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
Well, I can see
Says-
from here that we are loading that island.
Wait, where's the
Trendy.
exact spawn point? Is it over at the ship?
I can see islands all around, so is it, is rain distance more than spawn chunks?
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's 17.
yeah, it's actually more. Hmm. But
Right.
look, I mean, look at it. It's already 6 out of 10. So even
Yeah, it's
despite
below,
loading
so
some
it's
of the
definitely
islands,
fine.
we are below, so it's already fine. Yeah. Alright. So mobs would already spawn if they could. Here's what the spawn chunks now look like. So no more animals around and also no possibility for new ones to spawn. Technically they could still wander in from the outside, but I don't think it would be worth it now to try to build a wall around or something like that. I think it's fine. So here is the witch hut where I want to build the cat farm. The location here is ideal because there's no mountain biome nearby where water could freeze, because that would actually be detrimental for my plants. So the idea was that we completely flood this whole area since mobs can't spawn on grass blocks. You have this water above, and also I think the grass will be converted into dirt later. So this will look actually quite interesting once we're done here. I was a bit worried about the water not spreading under the trees, because the leaves would obviously block the water sources, but I'm quite sure the water would actually reduce the water or the light level so much that it's too dark for mobs to spawn. And if there's like a 15 high layer of water above, then mobs won't be able to spawn there, regardless if there's grass or not. Alright, so how are we gonna flood this whole area? This is quite a challenge. So you could do it the static way, just make a huge dirt platform up in the sky, spread some water up there, and then remove the dirt platform again, everything flows down. But this would be so much work. Placing 250,000 dirt blocks we don't have at the moment, then removing them later again. We don't even have the tools for that, so way too much work at the moment. But I think a flying machine could do the job for us. So I already have a system in mind that hopefully will work, but designing that in survival would be quite tedious, because with flying machines you often have to redesign everything and then launch it again. It's so much easier to do it in creative, just do it there and then carry over the work here. So the challenge is basically to create a lot of water sources in a large area. In order to create a water source, we could obviously use the spread mechanic. So if you have 2 water sources, it would form a new source in the middle, but only if there's a supporting block below. Those again, as you can see, nothing's in the middle. I place a block there. Then we got a new water source. So in order to create new water sources, we need to move a water source around a flying machine in the first place. So it would all be so easy if you can just do it with the waterlogged blocks. But as you can see here, if you try to move the waterlogged slab or any other block, then the water source is destroyed. And obviously you also can't push water. So one way to actually move the water would be to freeze it and then move the ice block around. But there's actually also a way to move waterlogged blocks. During the 1.13 snapshots, by the way, it was also possible just to move normal waterlogged blocks around, and this was first introduced just with normal pistons, but this was later removed. Might have been a coincidence or not, but I remember a certain Mambo video titled Griefing Machine in all caps that also showcased this mechanic and showed how you could flatten a whole area using this water mechanic. So I'm quite sure Mambo is a soul whose intentions are good. just wanted to warn people from this potential harm to bases or giving griefers in your tools, so don't let them be misunderstood. But we kind of lost a nice mechanic there, so no blame for Mumbo. It was just a bit sad in my eyes that it actually got removed. But the developers actually overlooked one case. You can move the waterlogged block using a sticky piston and a short pulse. So just need to push this segment here forward, then the sticky piston gets a short pulse and pushes the waterlogged block forward. This has always been the case from 1.13 onwards up to now. So being able to move water sources around and flood whole areas wasn't the end of Minecraft. We were actually already able to do so before using the frosted ice mechanic, and creepers definitely didn't go wild because of this. So I really don't see a point why this got removed in the first place. Because if somebody wants to grief Minecraft servers, there's hundreds of ways. And this is not even the easiest. Alright, so by the way here, you can see what happens if you power the piston with a normal pulse. The water source also gets removed. So you really need to short pulse it using an observer, so a 0 tick, so anything shorter or equal to 2 game ticks. So in order to create water sources, we always have to push the waterlogged blocks, which is a bit of a shame because then the piston in the end also removes the water source again. This would be so much easier if you just can pull everything, have everything behind, and then the water source will form between and would never get touched again. So what we probably need to do is push it, make sure that the water can spread between the 2 waterlogged blocks. So we would have the water source there. This one would get removed. But if we have blocks under that, then it could spread again. So let's quickly indicate with a lapis block. So we would make the water sources here in between on both sides. And if we in the end of the flying machine have another block there, the water can spread, and then basically we got it fully covered. Just need to make sure we have some blocks below there. Alright, so the easiest probably would be to actually make a one-directional machine. We could chain like that, but it's actually quite a lot of slime blocks or honey blocks that we would need for that. I don't think we have that right now. So maybe we can actually make a 3-directional machine where we only move one single waterlogged block. So basically move it one direction, then push it one over, go this way, etc. to cover a whole area. Downside is this would take a lot longer, but would be a lot cheaper. So covering a 500 something by 500 area will probably take around 1.5 to 2 days, but it's still reasonable. You probably also need extra blocks under the water sources there, so in front and in the back, in order to make sure that the water also would spread to the side. Always tries to flow towards where there's a gap they could flow into. So we would need to cover everything here with blocks, and then it could actually also spread to the side. Like that. So my idea was to have a 2-way flying machine that pushes a waterlogged block back and forth. Probably also need an extra block here, and then we would create a water source next to an existing line of water. So this would be the 2-way flying machine. I can launch it real quick. Water source is always fine, and this would eventually get stopped and then pushed into this direction. So one block over, and then goes the other way, and then we already have the next line of water. And yeah, just need to make this work somehow. Oh, I see. So here's a water source on top of the piston. Right next is one as well. And that's why it was spreading to the side. So we have actually also a water source here on top of the glass block. If you move this one over, then it will just create a new water source immediately on top of the grass block. If I take a sponge and punch everything out, just place that one water source back, it should actually work immediately. Try that real quick. So we just need a water source here, if you like. And actually on the glass block. This should actually be enough. So still, sit in again. Yeah, this would already work. Here's like the next thing we already have to worry about is pushing this one block over. So it will be interesting to see if we maybe lose the water source because some of those pistons fire when they shouldn't. So I'm just gonna try to use my usual setup first. Yep, that's what I was worried about. Next try, maybe need to push over the waterlogged block a little bit later. So let's try that. Get some extra delay in there. Let's see. Oh yeah. Seems like it's working now. So I added the whole station now on this side. It should push the main flying machine one forward. So it's getting activated by this observer added here on both sides. Right, now we need to launch the flying machine. Unfortunately, there's a couple of versions you can't use flint and steel anymore. And now also lately no more fire charges, just to activate an observer. So what you can also do is make a repeating command block that sets itself to air immediately. Oopsie. Seems like we've got something here. So the issue is fixed. It's important to not use a sticky piston here. It needs to be normal. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, pushing forward worked, but we somehow lost the water source again. Found the issue, the sticky piston here pulled in the waterlogged block, and that's why we lost the water source. And it's just caused by the way the whole contraption works. So the observer triggers this little segment there, and this moves forward twice. And then everything also gets pulled. And yeah, actually pistons that push the main flying machine forward are also now 2 blocks away. Only on the second pull they would push forward here. If you already would do it on the first, so be one closer, then obviously you would push forward twice. That's what we don't want. We only want to move this over 1 block, but on both ends. That's why this segment needs to move over twice. And same on the other side, basically. Right, hope you can still follow. The way to fix this is to not trigger this piston on the first push, to just add some kind of T flip-flop system. So the way I usually do this is quite simple. We'd have another sticky piston there, and this just moves an observer around. So if you push this forward now, the first time doesn't trigger, push forward again, triggers again, etc. This time I'm hopeful it's gonna work. Yes. Alright. I added the same on the other side, so let's see how it goes. I'm also gonna place down a water source here now, so hopefully the water will also start spreading. Okay, here we go. Oopsie. That wasn't good. I rewatched the footage, and what happens is that the observer here gets updated from the water flowing to the side. I was afraid of this from the very beginning, so the way to fix this is probably to cover up the observer, but I'm not quite sure if you have enough push limit left. We can do maybe a quick count. So this piston needs to push 4 blocks, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We could even add 2 more blocks. If you maybe move this here, add 1, 2, 3. No, we can't cover it up like that. Yeah. It's always 13 for some reason. I'm not sure what moving just the observer to the side would do in the long run. The water is also gonna activate at the wrong moment, but we can just try it out. Maybe that would be actually the simplest solution. So let's try it out. Also slow down the game a little bit, so we can maybe see what's happening. It's a bit too slow if you like. Okay, so far this is working. Oh, the glass block got lost. It's a bit unfortunate. Oh, still have an issue there. A couple attempts later, I got rid of all the issues, so let's check it out. It's moved forward properly here, and also spreads the water. And same happens on the other side. There we go. Okay, I can also run this a bit quicker. Tick rate 500, so 25 times as fast. You can see this covers the whole area at some point. So obviously one of the stations would just be in a survival world a couple hundred blocks further out in direction, but everything will be covered, and it's just a waiting game. What would also be nice is if you maybe could attach, a minecart so we can ride the machine. It should also be possible to stop this machine at any point just by placing a non-movable block. So try that out and then let's try to get in something to ride the machine. So I was hoping that we could maybe use a honey block somewhere. So we have 2 blocks left. How do we get a honey block in there so we can ride that? Turns out I can only attach a single block when pushing this whole thing forward, and 2 pistons are attached to the slime block structure here. Replacing it with honey is also obviously not possible because we power here the slime block directly. If you had 2 blocks, I'm quite sure this would have worked. The honey in between. We can only attach a single block. So maybe we can actually just stand in a cauldron. It's always a possibility. I think if the minecart is in the cauldron, sooner or later it will glitch out. Still have my command block. Let's try it out. We're gonna minecart in there. I think the offset always increases by 1 centimeter the more you push this over. Yeah, that's definitely gonna happen. So eventually the minecart will glitch out. It's a bit unfortunate. I think for shorter distances this would work fine. If this is getting too long, minecart is gonna glitch out. Yeah, that's quite a shame. The minecart is not really necessary. This would only be necessary if you would use a normal account, because there's always this client-server desync happening, and the normal player would actually sooner or later glitch out of the cauldron. But if you maybe use the server-side carpet bots, then standing just in the cauldron is also enough. That's all for today. Next episode will probably all about flooding the area around the witch hut. Thanks a lot for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.